God bless America. Hello, everybody. I am the Talk Radio Protege. This is the Protege program. Thank you all for joining me. We're almost to Friday. There's this video and one more coming up tomorrow until we get to the weekend. Hang in there. It's almost here. Now, yesterday, the committee to reconcile the two tax bills apparently reached a deal, and according to this story from the Business Insider, they've got the details, and I wanted to go over their highlights with you, and then talk about the path forward for this bill. So let's have a look here at the details that we're being told about by Business Insider. Now, the first is that the corporate tax rate has been increased from 20 to 21%. And the way I understand it, this change in the bill was done to, quote-unquote, buy the lower top individual tax rate. The individual tax rate was 39.6%. In the House bill, it was 38.5% in the Senate bill, and it's now apparently at 37%. So that's something interesting. I thought for sure that the top rate was going to remain at 39.6%. Instead, we've sacrificed a little bit of the corporate tax rate in order to lower that top individual tax rate. And in my opinion, these are both good calls. We're still getting double-digit cuts on the corporate tax rate, which is going to be spectacular for the economy and economic growth. And cutting the top individual rate is also going to be good for individual growth. We're going to talk about that more as the story continues. So just hang on to that. Put a pin in it as you will until we come back to it. The estate tax. Now, as I understand it, if memory serves, I guess I should say, the House bill didn't touch the estate tax. The Senate bill, no. The House bill eliminated the state tax in 5 years. And or was it 10 years? I don't recall. I think it was the House bill that doubled the limit on the estate tax from 5.6 to 11 million or so, and the Senate bill didn't touch it. But apparently, instead of doing either one of those things, instead of phasing it out or cutting it, they say right there, phasing it out as the House version proposes. The compromise is going to increase the threshold from 5.6 to 11 million, and I believe I said that that's probably what we were going to get, was not eliminating it, but taking that doubling in the threshold. 20% deduction for pass-through businesses. Again, it's more similar to the Senate version. I believe I did call that one as well. Repeal of the corporate alternative minimum tax. I don't think that this was a point of contention between the two bills. If memory serves, this was either something that I didn't know where they were going to go with it, or it wasn't on the radar as far as compromises go. But that is being eliminated. That's a very good thing. Cap on mortgage interest deduction. This looks like just a straight down the middle compromise between the two bills. I don't remember what I called on that one in that video. Graduate student tax. Now, this wasn't a highlight of the House bill, but apparently it's a highlight of the compromise. The House bill would have taxed tuition waivers for graduate students like normal income. That seems odd to me. Now, a tuition waiver is not a waiver. It is a award to students in the amount of tuition. It's not a cash award. It's an award that goes directly to the school. It doesn't go to the student whatsoever. and it's in the amount of tuition, and that's what a real tuition waiver is. It seems strange to me that those would ever get taxed, seeing as how they don't go to a student. I'm of a mind, in the current tax system where we're taxing income, to not tax anyone attending school, attending university. That's just a opinion that's not based on facts. It's only really based on my experience, but that's what I have to say about that. State and local tax deduction, as you know, there was a lot of contention about this. I believe that both versions of the bill totally eliminated this deduction, but setting a cap at $10,000 should be good enough to get this bill past most people for political reasons. It's we still have the budget confinements that we're having to work with on the Senate, and we still have this thing that we're trying to get rid of. So setting a cap as low as $10,000 is probably going to work for most members of the House, should work for the Senate. Repealing the individual mandate, I'm glad this remained, and I think that it was left out of the House bill as part of a negotiation strategy. We're going to talk more about that as we continue, I think. So let's move on. Keeps a slew of popular tax breaks. Now, popularity in this bill, let's go ahead and talk about that real quick. A lot of, as the story says here, popular tax breaks are kept in the system as part of this bill. Nevertheless, this bill is, according to some media outlets, receiving as little as 26% of popular support. Now, popular support has never stopped a bill. If popular support stopped a bill, we wouldn't have Obamacare. This is an interesting thing where you can see how much damage to tax cuts the left has done. Ever since the tax cuts of the Reagan era, tax cuts have been slandered and libeled in the press and in the media as not working, as being bad for the middle class, bad for the poor, as being the tax cuts for the wealthy. And as such, whenever we have tax cuts that are going to absolutely benefit the economy, that in the long run are absolutely going to benefit the middle class, and somewhat counterintuitively are in the long run going to benefit the government, big swaths of the population remain in opposition to these tax cuts. These tax cuts include rate cuts across the board for low and middle income Americans, and somehow only 26% of Americans are in support of this bill. I, for one, don't believe that number, but I honestly wouldn't be surprised, given that the history of tax cuts in the eyes of the media. So, all this being said, the final version of the bill is anticipated to be voted on Monday and or Tuesday, and the issues that are facing the bill remain Senator Susan Collins, Senator Marco Rubio is a new development, and he is pitching a fit over changing the way that the child income tax credit works. Rubio would like to make this credit refundable, and I assume that means the only way that you can claim the child income tax credit is if you claim it ahead of time. And it's not refundable if you end up not claiming it ahead of time. If you want it to be taken out of your paycheck as part of your withholdings, I think it's called deductions, then you're not going to get refunded any amount that you are entitled to. It sounds strange saying that you're entitled to a tax refund from the government, but that's the language that we're operating with right now. you're entitled to this money as part of this tax credit for having a child, but it can be refunded to you under current rules for some reason. And Rubio is raising a stink over wanting that to be made refundable. Allegedly, Rubio has said he will not vote for the bill unless this amendment that he and I believe it was Senator Lee of Ohio put forward and was ultimately voted down. He's pitching a fit. So if Senator Susan Collins refuses to vote for the bill and Senator Bob Corker, who voted against the bill when it was in the Senate, both declined to vote for the bill, then we're in a new then we're in a different territory than we were last month. Last month, I believe it was Senator Corker and Senator Collins that voted against the bill, and Vice President Pence was able to cast the tie-breaking vote, which allowed the bill to move forward to committee. Now, if Rubio refuses to vote for the bill, then we will have a 49-51 vote situation arise. The bill will not pass the Senate, and I believe that kills the bill in the short term. Long term, it could still be passed, but the likelihood goes way down. I think, based on the way that this process has gone so far, I believe that, and it's hard to say with certainty, based on the way that things have gone so far, it's possible that a no vote on this bill could kill Rubio's Senate career. And I say that because we have a person who is allegedly a conservative Republican. He was a conservative golden boy. He was considered the next Reagan until the Gang of Eight bill happened. And after that, he's really been somewhat of an establishment type person. He was the establishment's favorite pick after all of the other establishment candidates were worn out. The establishment threw their money behind Rubio in the GOP primary. So he's really been getting a lot of swamp stain on him as a result of these things. He still remains popular in Florida. He was elected to return to the Senate just in 2016. So it's not clear that this no vote, if he casts it, would kill his career. I think that there is some lobbying to be done. There's some jockeying for position to be done. I think that the president has an opportunity to convince Rubio to vote for this bill. I think that Collins is a definite no. I think that Corker is a definite no. I think that the opportunity remains to convince Rubio to vote for this bill, even if he doesn't get his precious amendment. I think that's all that I had to say about things at this time. The path forward remains somewhat in doubt. The House is likely to pass this bill. The Senate remains in rocky territory. Losing Senator Strange's seat means that there's even more pressure now on Republicans to pass this bill politically. Even if they weren't able to convince Rubio to vote for the bill next week, and it comes up again after Senator-elect Jones is confirmed into the Senate, then Rubio's vote doesn't matter. Corker and Collins alone killed the bill because the margin of error shrinks from 2 votes to 1. Therefore, it's pretty imperative that this bill get passed at this time. The 2018 midterms just became much, much more important. It remains to be seen whether or not the path forward becomes easier for the president's agenda. it's going to be interesting. There's a lot to play out. There's a lot to keep your eyes on in the coming weeks. So make sure that you hit subscribe and hit the bell for notifications so that you don't miss a single video from this channel. Leave a like on this video if you enjoyed, and I hope that you'll come back and join me again next time. Next video is coming tomorrow. It's going to be the last video that you have to watch before the weekend is here. So I hope that you'll come back and join me. Thank you again for watching this video. Until next time, good night and God bless.